All right, guys, welcome back. So in this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to cover some troubleshooting. So basically, I'm going to go over some issues and hopefully help you move past these if you get stuck on one, or help you prevent them altogether. So let's go ahead and I'm going to run through a couple of the most common issues that I see people running into, as well as how to solve issues that maybe that you don't see me cover right here. I'm going to teach you guys where you can go to figure out how to solve those on your own. All right, so the first step is one of the most common issues that I see people run into is with their growth tools. So what you got to do is log into your ManyChat account, and over here you want to click on growth tools. So what you're going to see here, and this is the number one thing that I see people running into, is that they leave their growth tool in the draft state instead of in the active state. So when it's a draft, you can kind of think of it as unpublished. Okay, so it's something that you've created and you can see it here in ManyChat, but it's not actually going to work out in the real world live. Okay, so nobody will be able to, or like when someone interacts with it or sees it, like it won't function properly. So the way that you fix this is you would click right here, you would click on publish. All right, now we're also going to see, so most of the time this will actually work, but there's also, we see there's an error here. And I'm going to explain what this is too, because that's an error that sometimes trips people up as well. So what it says right here is you can only send message step can be used as a first step in the opt-in flow. So what this, again, I wish we could hold up that error there for longer, but essentially what that's saying is what we need to do when we have our bot replying to people. Let's see here. In the opt-in action, so this is going to be the first message that we send to people once they opt into our bot. And so what we need to do here is we need to make sure that there's a way for people to interact with our bot like right away. Okay, so essentially what we need to do and what that error was saying was that we need to have a button so that people can actually interact with our bot. In my opinion, this is kind of stupid that they would even let you like not do that as to trigger the error that we just saw. But for whatever reason, you have to go and you have to add this button. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, cool, we'll say go to a website. And then what we can do here is we can enter a URL. You can, of course, put your own URL or whatever. It doesn't even have to be your website. You just do need to create a button action right here. And then we click publish. And then it says content published. Okay, so that's how we would fix that red error that popped up there when we tried to set it live. Okay, so now what we're going to do, now that that red error is fixed, we should be able to set this from draft into active. Okay, and so then when we do that, what we're going to see is this widget is actually going to function properly on our website. So now we've selected to move this over into active, and now the widget is activated. So wherever we've installed this on our website, this is going to function properly now. And again, we can also see right here, this is the one that we were just dealing with. You can see it no longer says draft right here. We can also unpublish it if we want to from here. And then we'll see it says draft. So we would need to go ahead and publish it again so that it's live and that it's going to work out in the real world. All right, so that's the first major issue that a lot of people get tripped up on. The second one is sometimes things will just go a little bit funky with your bot, and it'll say, it might send you some random error like just in red text here at the top. And there's a whole like wide variety of reasons why that could be. Sometimes I don't even know like what the actual underlying reason is. But one way to fix it is go over to your settings. And you would click refresh permissions here. Okay, so it says Messenger platform can unexpectedly drop page permissions due to internal reasons, or basically this is saying sometimes the connection between ManyChat and your Facebook page will it'll just go funky and it'll go awry. So what you need to do if you ever get an error and you're not sure what it's saying, or like it doesn't make sense, or if it says something like like unable to publish, or anything that leads you to believe that ManyChat is not hooked up to your Facebook page, then you can always go down here to your settings and just click refresh permissions, and then it'll reload. And a lot of times that does fix the issue. All right. Now, there are other times where you're going to get an error, you're not sure what it's going to say, um, or you're not sure like what the error is talking about really. So you would go over here to refresh permissions, and then if you go back and the error like it's still there, then what you would do after that is the next thing to realize is that ManyChat is a software, and unfortunately, they do experience bugs. It's not uncommon. I've experienced quite a bit of ManyChat bugs. Usually, they're resolved within the next day or two. But unfortunately, as a software program, ManyChat does encounter like actual software bugs that have nothing to do with you doing anything wrong. It's just the software is going through some issues that day. So if that's the case, so if you run into an issue, you try refreshing permissions a couple times and nothing happens, it doesn't fix it, then what you would do is you would go over to here and click on help. So you can either submit a ticket, you can join their Facebook group. That's actually by far the quickest way. So I would say join the Facebook group, and see even right here, they say try this magic button before anything else. It's going to do the same thing right here. So that's always the go-to. If that doesn't work, I would say join the community, go over to their Facebook community. It's completely free and you can just join the group. And I would post your question there because not only are there support reps very active in that Facebook group, but there's a community of like over 30,000 other ManyChat users, and you'll get a response way more quickly if you post your question or issue or whatever you're going through in the Facebook group rather than submit a ticket. Now, if for whatever reason, like it's something that you're not comfortable posting in the group, or you would prefer to just submit a ticket to them, that's totally fine. Just keep in mind, you're not going to get a response right away like you would with a Facebook group. It might take like a couple hours to a day or two. So that's what you would do. I'd recommend going to the Facebook group first. And also, if you want to just get more familiar, if you want to learn some basics, you can also read their help documentation. So that's what you would do to go find that. And the final thing to check is a lot of times what people do. Let's go into growth tools here. We can take another look at the one that we just played around with right now. So we'll edit the message right here. And one common issue is that people they don't like hook up their button correctly. Okay, so that's just one thing to check. Kind of like a user error thing that happens, pretty often, is to just make sure that your button, you've actually set it to do what you want it to do. Okay, so if you want it to go to a website, then you would click, go to website. If you want it to call a phone number, you can do that. If you want to, you can do a whole host of other additional actions too. So you can add a tag, you can remove a tag from them. You can also subscribe them to a specific sequence. So let's say you've got another sequence that you want to push them into once they push this button. You can even have them notify, you can even have the bot notify admins of your Facebook page when someone clicks this button. So it's really, really cool. You can do a lot of really cool things. Just make sure that you've got the button actually hooked up in the way that you want it to behave. So that's pretty much it. Essentially, a lot of it has to do with growth tools, making sure that it's set as active, making sure that the buttons are hooked up correctly, and then finally doing that refresh permissions thing over here. Or if that still doesn't work, then going to the Facebook community or putting in a support ticket, because they oftentimes do encounter bugs with their software.